Hello, this is Mark from Spanish Property Insight. Today I'm going to talk about Spanish house prices and have a look at the trend in 2022 now that we have data for the whole year, and also the very latest figures, what we can see from them, where we might be heading at least in the first quarter of this year. Further out than that, always difficult to make predictions. But anyway, so to do this, I'm going to be looking at the Data Hub, which you can visit and at the Spanish Property Insight, you go to Data, and here you have the Hub. Here I'm going to select house prices, and so you'll see there's loads of different data pages with all types of different house price information there. But for the purposes of today, I'm going to be looking at property prices per region from the notaries and city asking prices, which are from a property portal. Let's start off with monthly property prices from the notaries, and here is a table which I've already filtered to 2022, goes back to 2007 I think, and you can see from month 1 January 2022 to month 12 December, with the national price in euros per square meter. Now a national house price is a pretty artificial sort of thing. It doesn't really tell you anything about what a property is worth, but it gives you an idea of a very broad trend in prices for the country for house prices. Although, when it comes to property, it's all about segments and specifics. So you can't use it to judge what a property is worth. But like I said, it gives you an idea of whether, more or less, whether house prices are increasing or decreasing in Spain, and where we are in the property market cycle. So as you can see here, we went from the nationally it began the year with double-digit increases in prices down to 1% by the end of the year. Now, of course, anyone wants to delve into the detail, there's plenty of detail here on per region. I'm going to go through a little bit about the regions in a second, but let's just look at this all in the charts because it's just easier to understand the data. So here is a chart that reflects the table above. You can see it's from January to December. What you can see in the dark columns is the average price per square meter, and in the blue area line, you get the year-on-year change. You can see that house prices didn't really go anywhere in the course of the year. There wasn't a big increase or decrease, but the year-on-year change, you can see it clear, coming down, cooling off in these are all, of course, these columns, you have to compare them to the year before, which we can't see here, although I could put them on the chart, might do in a second. Anyway, so general decline or cooling down in house price increase, which started off the year in the double digits and ended up, like I said, around 1%. Now, if we look at prices in selected regions, here we have a selection: Andalusia, the Balearics, Canaries. So, well, let's run through them. The first one, the most expensive area in Spain, region in Spain, the Balearics, where you can see prices were more or less stable throughout the year. They were stable on all the regions we're going to look at, but what's interesting on this chart is you can see which are the most expensive and which are the least expensive areas. The Balearics, the most expensive, followed by Madrid. Then comes Catalonia, the Canaries, Andalusia, the Valencian region, and Murcia. So those were prices per square meter over the course of the year in those regions. But how did they change on an annualized basis? So here, let's take it one by one. First of all, Andalusia, you can see that came down and ended the year growing just slightly, 3%. Then let's look at the Balearics. Here you have, Balearics have been a very hot market both in sales and prices, but that seems to be cooling down. The Balearics have also got this strange thing going on. The government's talking about excluding foreign buyers from the market, which is absolutely impossible. But anyway, it doesn't inspire confidence, and maybe some international investors will be taking note and thinking twice. The Canaries, just still increasing, 13%, one of the biggest increases towards the end of the year. Catalonia was prices were rising most of the year, but then they dropped down to zero in the last two months of last year. The Valencian region still rising, Madrid still rising, and Murcia still rising. So that's what happened on an annualized basis to house prices in those regions, which are that I've selected here, which are the regions of most interest to foreign buyers. Now let's have a look a bit further back at what's happened. So let's take this to the 2020s. And you can see that since the beginning of just before COVID, you see house prices they declined in the COVID period, and then they had this recovery, which went from the beginning of 2021 through all the way through to the end of 2022. But you can see the trend is clearly down. So it looks like the year ahead we'll be looking at house prices in Spain that are more or less, I mean, who knows, but I guess there'll be low price increases or even declines in the course of this. I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up 2022 house prices lower than they were at the beginning of the year. And the regional selection, nothing there. You can see there was a general, which just reflects what we see in the national picture, a slight general increase in prices in those regions after what you can't see here, but there been declines in the pandemic period. Now let's go even further back, go all the way. Here you can see what's happened since 2007. I mean, you can see that prices today are still significantly below where they were 15 years ago in 2007. That was because after the crash, prices came down significantly. And then there was modest increases when the recovery began around 2013, then the COVID drop, and then rebound after that, but we're still below where we were 15 years ago at a national level. So that's kind of the national and regional picture. Now let's look at asking prices in a selection of regional capitals, so now we're getting a more local picture, but these are asking prices, not sales prices, and they're for the regional capitals, but still it gives you an idea of what's going on in those regions. So here, once again, there's no national picture here. This is what we have is a bunch of regions, and these are regions I've selected because of the most interest to foreign buyers. I'm not going to look at all of them, just a selection of them. You can see in this, so this is an index which starts from 2010, and indexes are best looked at going back to their start period, because this chart doesn't show you much other than that. I guess we can use this. Ibiza, you can see, is the one that's increased the most since the start of the index, followed by Marbella, Palma, Madrid, Barcelona, and Tenerife. And here, just so you understand, and Alicante as well. So Alicante, you can see at the end of the year 104, so it's only just above where it was in 2010. But Ibiza is almost 90% higher than it was, so it's almost doubled since 2010. So you can see there's a big difference between what's going on in different areas of Spain, reflecting the dynamics and characteristics of regions and segments. Like everywhere, there's no such thing as a national housing market. It all depends on where you are. Now let's look at what's happened year on year to asking prices in these regions. Let's start with Barcelona. So started off the year, Barcelona took longer to recover from the COVID thing. There was increasing asking prices throughout the year, but started to decrease towards the end of the year. Palma, very steady, or close to 10% or higher throughout the year, increase in asking prices. Madrid, increasing as the year went on. In Ibiza, steady, but pretty robust increases, 10% in June, but most of the year around between 6 and 8%. Valencia, very strong increase as the year went on, up to 10%. And let's look at also Alicante. So that was also, as the year went on, increasing growth in house asking prices. Las Palmas, no Malaga, no Tenerife. Let's have a look at Tenerife down there in the Canaries. You can see similar story. Marbella, which is one of the strongest markets at the moment. You can see asking prices above 10% all year. And finally, let's have a look at Murcia, where there's been not so much growth, it's more in the 2-3% area, but still asking prices increasing as the year went on. Let's just look back at the index, go back to the beginning, and you can see that here we have, so they all started at 100, and you can see the big spread, big difference going from Murcia, which is still below where it was 10 years ago in terms of asking prices in that region, whereas up there in Ibiza, they're almost 90%, so almost doubled since 2010. Finally, let's look at three graphs which are the very latest data. So now we're talking February 2023, so last month, the price per square meter in these areas, the year-on-year change, and how they look on in terms of the index since 2010. So the first chart shows you how these areas of most interest to foreign buyers, what asking prices are per square meter in those areas. Ibiza is the most expensive at an average of 5,341. Marbella next, 4,171. Barcelona, Madrid, going through to Murcia, where you can get a bargain really compared to Ibiza for 1,171 euros a square meter average asking price in Murcia. Now let's look at what happened year on year. So I'll organize it that, which gives us here. So biggest increase in, so this is to February 2023, what's happened in the last 12 months. Prices increasing the most in Ibiza, in Marbella, up 20% in a year to February, and Tenerife as well, 20%. And everywhere still prices increasing, nowhere negative, but down in Girona, which is the capital of the province that's home to the Costa Brava, asking prices only up 2.7% in the period. Finally, let's just have a look at the index. I have to organize the table that way, and here you can see, I kind of said this already, but Ibiza prices are up 88, 100. Well, the index is up is 188, so prices are 88% up since January 2010, and going all the way to, this is asking prices to Murcia, where they're up 81. 81%. No, I am not making any sense here. So if that was 188 and this is 81, yes, sorry, I am making sense. So this is below the index. Murcia is still lower than it was 10 years ago, and that's also the case in Girona. And it's in Valencia, it's just above where it was 10 years ago. And then as you go up, as you head left, you see prices increasing. So anything above the 100 is above where it was 10 years ago, and more than 10 years ago in 2010. And anything below is still haven't recovered from the crash. So that is the latest quick update on asking prices, house prices in Spain in 2022, and what they've been doing in the first couple of months of 2023. It looks like, let's just have a look at this chart again. Where are we here? It looks like I think probably best here. It looks like that prices are just heading towards a kind of we're going to have, like I said at the beginning, modest price growth this year and potentially modest declines, but no sign of anything catastrophic or anything euphoric. So less growth than recent years in last year, but nothing special, but nothing too particular or too concerning to worry about. Although in markets like Marbella, where things seems to be very hot, I guess we could see continued double-digit increase for at least the next 6 months, maybe even the whole year. We shall see. Anyway, I hope that was interesting, and all I can say to finish off is thank you for watching.